Attention, crew, this is your Captain Caliban speaking. This is a supplemental episode of Enterprising Individuals, where we bring you news and tidbits from the world of Trek, also interviews with special guests, and a few little surprises along the way. I hope you've enjoyed the first few episodes of our 5th season. We've got a lot more in store this year, so stay tuned. This week, Mikanhana of the Just Enough Trope podcast is back once again on the show to discuss some of the latest Trek news from the Trek sphere. There's a lot going on, frankly. This is an exciting time, but also a strange time for Star Trek. Any fans who were around when they announced the development of Deep Space Nine will know what I'm talking about. But this is like DS9 times 10, DS90. There's a Trek that you like, that you're used to, TOS or TNG, but now they want to make a totally different kind of Trek show, and it's scary, and it scares you. I personally think that it's a great idea from a business perspective to try and expand the Trek brand as much as possible, though I do question some of the ways that seems to be happening or not happening under the current CBS regime. Anyway, I've got a lot to say about that and other topics, as does Mikanhana, so enjoy this look at current Trek news. Stick around to the end of the show for information about our live Picard episodes and how you can support the show, and a sneak peek at next week's episode. Extra, read all about it, and with that, let's get underway. 21 years ago, they came up with a program whereby they could let people crowdsource the science part of it. So you can download something called SETI at Home for your computer, and it would run in the background like it was a screensaver, and it would run in the background, and you would contact this. And this is in the early days of network computing. You would contact their server. They'd send you some blocks of data, and then your computer would organize it and look for whatever markers that they look for in possible extraterrestrial transmissions. Okay. And so it would go through all that, and then it would send it, upload it back. And remember, this is all like widespread broadband is like only now kind of becoming a reality. Right. Like, in certain parts of our country, like you still can't get broadband. In certain parts of the state, you can't get broadband. Mm-hmm. So this is all being done, 20 years ago, this is being done on dial-up connections or on, DSL or something like that. Sure. And so the program went for 21 years, and they just shut it down.
Why did they shut it down?
Irony. I'd like to imagine that there's an alien, who's reading the paper, and his phone starts ringing, and his little green long-fingered hand is reaching to pick it up, and then meanwhile back on Earth, we go, all right.
Shut it all down.
And just as his green hand reaches the phone, it stops ringing, he's like, and just goes back to his paper.
Wrong number. Weird. Yeah.
It's not a perfect metaphor. But yeah, they just on March 31st, they went into hibernation.
Wow.
So basically they're like, don't call it a comeback. This is like, don't call it a shutdown. We've got 21 years of data, so we got to compile it now and go through it. It's going to take a long time. Okay. It kind of sounds like whatever government grant you were relying on.
Maybe that
got cut.
Yeah, maybe that didn't come through. Yeah.
But, I did this. I did this 20 years ago. Yeah. I also there was another program for PlayStation 2. Well, it was 20 years ago. 2s? Or 3s, I can't remember which one, called Folding at Home. Okay. Protein researchers study protein shapes because proteins shapes is what gives them their properties, and their use in medicine or in treatments, or even studying proteins of diseases will help them learn how to science better. Sure. But they're so complicated that it's a similar computer task to looking for alien life or looking through, data for anomalous transmissions. And so there was a thing called Folding at Home that you can get for your PlayStation, so that when you weren't playing PlayStation, it would contact their servers. They would send you protein data. You'd, shuffle through it and then send it back. And I don't know if that one's still going. Okay. But yeah, this SETI at Home went for a long time.
It's kind of, I kind of wonder what the decision making is for them shutting it down now. Like it just seems, I don't know. I just would like to know why now. It just seems kind of random. And like, are they actually going to compile this data? And
well, the post on their website said, we've analyzed all the data we need for now.
For now. So can we get this? huge thing up and running again in the future?
They found something.
Oh, they found something.
That's when do you stop?
Yeah, okay.
When you get enough, right,
Yeah.
Michael Jackson?
Yeah, I
So
know. Whoa.
they found something.
Okay. Okay, well, I'd be interested to find out
That's what
they
this
found.
is. This
Okay.
goes along with the Navy videos or whatever that we've been seeing recently, you know, where the things are moving around, the pilot's like, I do not know what that is. Oh,
Oh,
oh
no.
my God. Oh my God. When you hear a naval aviator say, oh my God, something's really wrong.
Yeah, that's kind of terrifying. That's like
You
the
haven't seen
start
these
of-
videos?
No. That's like a start of like, you know,
A bad NBC show that gets canceled after one season.
Right.
After 13 episodes.
or like a terror at 3,000 feet below. I don't know. You know, like
She's in the something in the wing.
I'm just thinking like, you know, a really bad submarine movie, you know, where things are going
Ooh,
horribly
aliens
wrong.
and submarines. Well, there's virus. There's Leviathan. Never mind.
Okay.
But not specifically like K-19, the Widowmaker. Dun, 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 dun. You know, it's like submarines going underwater and then like aliens, right?
Right.
Has anybody ever done that?
I don't know that I've seen
That
anything
Ice Warriors
like that.
episode of Doctor Who,
Okay.
the Capaldi one.
Sure.
That David Warner was in for some reason, remember?
I don't.
Oh, Mark Gatiss. You call it writing. I call throwing a banana at a typewriter for an hour and then you're done. So anyway, more news on whether there'll be aliens showing up anytime soon.
Yeah.
What do they know?
I don't know. I that's what I want to know. Tell me all your findings, you know.
Yeah.
Do you think there are real life Scully and Mulders out there? Do you think that's a real thing?
What do you mean by real life Scully and Mulders? Because there's a lot of real life Maxes.
Yeah.
From NICAP out
Okay.
there living in a trailer, you know, in the desert.
Yeah.
But do you mean like an actual, you know, the government had a project called Project Blue Book where they compiled all the, because UFO hysteria was huge, you know, in the 40s and 50s or whatever.
Sure.
Oh, weird. Right around the time people started writing about
Sci-fi.
aliens and science fiction and chrome rocket ships and stuff like that. But, you know, sightings have continued over time. And so they compiled all these things into this thing called Project Blue Book. And they declassified it years ago, and there was
Okay.
never anything all that weird in there. But now you'd think, all right, every single person on Earth has a camera in their pocket at all times now.
Yes.
So where are the UFOs?
Good point.
And I don't know what the answer is. We should probably, you know, SETI at home should be like, you know, looking in the background of Instagram photos at home or something like that.
Right. What is that white blur? in
Graham
the
at
background?
home.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's that? What's that thing that looks like a pewter dish up in the corner of that picture? But you know, now we've got something like the Navy videos, and they just released them. They're just like, there you go. This is weird, right? It's weird, right? Everybody, this is really weird. Whereas
is so
before,
weird.
that would have gone right into a thing. It would have been like some kind of cover up, and then, you know, 25, 30 years later, we'd hear like, well, the Navy had these really weird videos where they saw this thing that moved non-aerodynamically over the ocean.
Yeah, you would think that would be like significantly classified and that they wouldn't put it out on the internet for anybody to see. So, yeah, that's super weird.
It's maybe a weird example of them just going, I mean,
We think this is weird.
what do
right?
we want? We're just going to have a FOIA request for this in a couple years anyway, so let's just dump it out there. Like, what's the point of trying to hide this? A weird moment of candor from the U.S. government.
I'll say. Oh, that is so weird.
Yeah, what's really weird though? What happened to John Christopher? That's what I want to know.
I don't think I know who that is.
We got this, this Air Force aviator. He just disappears, and then he reappears again. Everything's fine, but he won't talk about what happened.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like
Trying to Star Trek.
anything
Bring
good
this back to
happened.
Star Trek.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the news here, and
Yes.
I'm joined on my show by somebody from another show that I'm on, the Just Enough Trope podcast. It's Mikanhana back to do the news with me. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me. Good to be here.
What has been happening on the Just Enough Trope podcast?
What has not been happening on the Just Enough Trope podcast?
Oh, that's not the right answer.
Well, I mean, we talk about the news every week, and there's always something new to talk about.
What's what trends in the news? Since we're doing news, let's talk about news.
Trends in the news. stuff getting canceled or moved.
Okay, that's a gimme.
Yeah.
Notice that we're recording this. Let's see, we're recording this on the first day that we were supposed to be in Seattle for Just Enough Trope covering the Emerald City Comic-Con.
Yes.
Guess where we didn't go?
Seattle, the epicenter of coronavirus in the United States.
Yeah, I know.
Which is, we had decided on our own before they postponed it that we weren't going to go.
But late enough so that we can still maybe get a refund on those Delta tickets.
Well, I think it's just silly that they, at least initially, were like, well, if you bought your tickets in March, we'll give you a refund.
Yeah, I know. Like, if I bought my tickets when coronavirus was not back page, but let's say like middle of the paper stories, and I thought, well, I'm going to beat this thing. But if you bought them like 9 months before, you had no indication that there would be any kind of interruption. That's, you're screwed though.
Yeah. That made no sense to me.
Yeah, well,
Anyways, but yeah, I am totally bummed. And I totally thought today, as I was going about my day, oh man, we would have left today. I'm so bummed.
I've been coughing right about now.
Yeah, okay.
Feverish by sunset.
All right. So yeah, one of the reasons we decided not to go is last year they had 98,000 attendees. Which is a lot of people in one place.
I don't think I've ever thrown up coffee. So I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No,
think about all the things that you can throw up, right?
Yeah.
Like you throw up, I had corn or whatever. You throw up milk. That's a bad one, right?
Yep.
You can throw up, nachos and beer or whatever.
Sure.
But I don't think I've ever drank coffee and thrown up soon enough that it would still have been coffee in my stomach.
Yeah, I think that would be pretty.
Does that say
gross.
something about the non-antiemetic properties of coffee?
I've
never had a brown stream coming out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Although I will compliment the producers of Star Trek Picard for was it last episode?
Yes.
When Agnes eats too much cake. It's red velvet cake, and she just goes. And for a second you think, oh my god, what sci-fi thing is happening right now?
Because it looks
and
like
even one of the characters is like that, and then the other character's like, red velvet cake. She had like 3 pieces.
I know, and they were like triple layer.
But I've never done that with coffee.
I don't think I have either, and I think wouldn't it kind of like? I mean, I'll throw up burns your mouth, but wouldn't it like extra burn your mouth, like? Because I'm just thinking, it can be kind of acidic.
I only want first-degree burns on the way down.
Well,
and then inside my stomach, not on the way back up.
Right, that would be awful.
It's not going to get hotter in your stomach.
I guess.
Unless how does your stomach work? Do you have like a nuclear stomach?
No. I'm trying to think of like the grossest thing I've ever thrown up. I think I've probably thrown up cold medicine before. I think that's probably pretty gross.
It's so bad going down.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. And you don't even get the effect of it then.
No. Body
so you were so
sick
that you threw up the thing that you were taking to counter. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Where were we?
I don't know. I don't really want to get into throwing up. We were talking about Emerald City and how we're not going. So just the thought about being around a ton of people and love nerds, love them to death, but not necessarily.
And we're not tongue kissing like everybody on the convention floor, but you touch, especially with exhibitors. That would be the worst because. You see, look at this graphic novel, and you pick it up, you flip through it, and you go, oh, okay, maybe I'll get that, maybe not. You put it back down.
Yeah.
And that happens 1,000 times, and so there's just no way to control anything.
No, and I mean...
People are getting tattoos on the convention floor.
Yes. Oh, my God. The idea of that is just, wow.
Does it? That has to be... I think maybe the first time we went to Emerald City was maybe... 7 or 8 years ago, and they were doing that. Then we went successive years, and they didn't do that. And like the last year that we went, I think it was back.
I think you're right.
And I thought maybe it got shut down for health reasons. This is not Star Trek at all.
I know.
Maybe somebody got a Star Trek tattoo. The Romulan bird symbol holding 2 planets.
Yeah.
And I thought that's still doing that out in the open, and I don't want to harsh anybody who has tattoos, get tattoos.
Right.
But a guy is wearing goggles and gloves, and he is poking you so that there is potential for blood fluid to aerosolize.
Yes.
You know, so if I walk by the tattoo booth and one guy's got a mask on and I don't, I'm huffing tattoo ink and blood.
Yeah. I think, and like you said, not to harsh anybody's squee or, you know, to diss anybody or anything like that. I don't know. Maybe you've gotten a tattoo at a convention.
When you get poke with a tattoo needle.
Yeah. But I wouldn't feel uncomfortable doing it there.
If I don't have any tattoos. If I got one, that's how I would do it.
Really?
Yeah. Performatively.
Like peer pressure sort of thing?
No, peer pressure. No, performatively.
Like, hey, look at this cool tat I'm getting.
And then, no, look at me while I'm getting this cool tat.
Okay, fair. Yeah, I mean, the thing about cons too is like you can get sick normally. Like, you know, con crud is such a common thing.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's like flying on an airplane. You know, people get sick all the time.
And
from
that's
flying
just,
on
I mean,
planes.
like the last time that we went to Emerald City, I got sick.
Yeah.
And I knew going in, I remember thinking, I think I actually had like hand sanitizer. I thought, I'm going to limit the people I talk to, not talk to them, that I touch or, you know,
right.
things that I touch, and use the sanitizer. And I remember we got there the first day and I planned things wrong and I had to go to the bathroom the second we got there. Good news, nobody goes to the bathroom the first hour of the first day of a con,
sure.
except for me. So I got in the stall and I remember sitting down and the stall next to me was full. You know, there's a person in there.
Yeah.
And I heard this, and I thought, that's it.
It makes my
I
skin
made
crawl.
it through the show, but on the way home, on the plane home, I was dead.
Started feeling sick. Yeah. It's
and that was it. That was
such
just
germ factories, anyways. When there isn't a breakout, so I can't even imagine what it would have been like this year if we decided to go. No, actually. Although I think I may be becoming one because of this. Because I gotta tell you, I'm washing my hands 20, 30 seconds.
Well, this is a novel
hand sanitizer.
Coronavirus. It's a new thing.
Yeah, I know.
I got something probably just before the big hullabaloo started.
Yes.
About coronavirus. I got sick, and I was reading the other day the coronavirus symptoms, and it's like fever. Check. Cough, cold, check. Aches, pains, check. Did I have? I had a coronavirus where it was cool. Is that what happened? How would I have gotten it?
Not. I don't think so. You know, I've heard from some people that I guess the symptoms are very close to, you know, the flu.
And I know people who have had it and have gotten over it. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, you do?
Yeah. Like what the public doesn't understand is its communicability is very high. That's what people are worried about. That's why there's guys walking down the street in Italy going, you can't, I'm doing that Italy hand thing.
Yeah.
In a big rubber glove.
Yeah.
It isn't that like you get it and you're going to die. Like the mortality is extremely low.
Right.
The communicability is the problem. And it spreads so easily. So we want to keep it from spreading to people who are vulnerable or people who are close to people that are vulnerable.
Right.
That's really the problem.
That is the problem.
Take it from me. I'm a survivor. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know. They test for antibodies, right? That's what the test is.
I think so.
So it's a waste of a test. But if tests were plentiful, I'd get tested and see if I'd already had it. Because then I would be...
Then you'd be immune?
Yes, that'd be a superpower. I could go amongst the masses distributing toilet paper and hand sanitizer. Hands reaching out, touching me. Not the face. No, go ahead. Because I am immune.
What is the
is
song?
This a Star Trek show?
Well, yeah, I know.
What song?
What is the song like? I saw a post about it, like you know, reaching out, touching you, you know, and like somebody is
Neil,
like responding
don't
to it and was like, no touching.
Touching hands.
Yes.
No,
don't do that.
Yeah. Well, let's waste some more time. What do you think about Picard?
Okay, so long story short, I like it. Longer. I don't know if I like it as much as any of the original series is. I think it's good. I got excited when we saw, 7 of 9. I'm excited that she's going to be back for the episode this week. And it was good seeing Troy and Riker and everything. I feel like sometimes like the pacing, it's like the first couple episodes I felt kind of moved really slow. And then it sped up.
Yeah, major character explodes in the first episode.
I know. And then the Romulan samurai guy, I have Elnor. Yeah. I know, I do it all the time. I heard that the average person touches their face 10 times an hour.
It isn't touching your face. It's what you touch with your hands and then touch your face.
Yes.
So
yes.
if the bar, okay, so the bar for touching your face, high. If the bar for putting your fingers in other people's mouths is also high, we got a problem. But if it's 0, then we should be all right. Sorry, go ahead, Elnor.
No, Elnor. I think the idea of Elnor is super cool. I really like the concept, the character design. In actuality, I think he's a little bit too eager to cut somebody in half.
Elnor, and people love Elnor, so please don't come for me. Don't at me. But Elnor, to me, we all know that kid who would roll an Elnor in a Star Trek RPG game.
Oh, sure.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it all comes down to, okay, Romulan cult ninja.
Yeah.
How you going to play him? And the answer is, we don't know, because he hasn't been able to do anything yet on the show. He's like a ghost runner in Sandlot Baseball. Like he exists and holds a place, but he hasn't really done anything yet. I like the connection between him and Picard, which they set up. They take a long time setting up, and then we're off to other things. So hopefully one day he'll be around to pay that off and to do something with him. But I mean, kung fu kicking. Cool ponytail, samurai sword. I mean, Romulan ninja. I mean, come on.
I know. I like that he kicks butt. I think
got a blind guy. He's the chief engineer in the Enterprise.
I know.
Not everybody has to be like super cool and advantageous. This hot Romulan guy's kicking people in the face, throwing daggers at people. It's cheesy.
It is.
That's the kind of character I would make. I'm the guy. I just outed myself.
I just seeing him on the show and the way that he is so willy-nilly in like cutting people in half.
No, he's Kovat Malash. Yes. Willy-nilly is something else.
It just made me realize you don't see people killing other people in Star Trek that much.
We do now.
I know.
Yeah.
And so I think that kind of like it kind of was jarring to me because it's like, why do I want this in my Star Trek,
This ain't your granddaddy's Star Trek. It's also not your daddy's Star Trek. And depending on how old you are, it's not your kid's Star Trek either. Because you are in the middle of that lineage somewhere.
Yes. But yeah, I mean, I love Picard. So, I mean, for the most part, I'm there for it. How about you? How do you feel about Picard?
Not
an easy answer.
Well, no, there is an easy answer, and that is join us live at 7 p.m. Central on Thursday nights.
Yes. To
hear us recap that week's episode of Picard on a show called Discoverage.
Yes.
Which you can find by going to @EISTPOD on Twitter. Also, we use the hashtag Discoverage, spelled like it sounds. And we started off covering Discovery, and now we're covering Picard.
Yes.
Didn't want to change the name.
Yes.
And that's that. Mm-hmm. The long answer is, there's a lot of minorities getting killed, huh?
Yeah.
If you want to loop LGBTQ actors into the minorities as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And most of them get knives in some part of their bodies.
Yeah. Not great. Not great. Was really bummed when Hugh died. Last episode. I
find, I mean, like, I'm fine with death, but I find some of the deaths to be a little willy-nilly.
Yeah. It does seem that way.
Which is, that's the Tellarite intelligence agency, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Those guys. They go piggly wiggly. That's the super secret Tellarite one.
I like it.
Why don't we just talk about some news
All
so
right.
we can
Sounds good.
be done. Let's talk about the news. We got good news.
Yes.
But it's good news again. When you were last on the show, we talked about Anthony Rapp getting engaged to his fiancée, Ken Ithipiol, and I still don't know how to say his name.
I think that was a valiant try.
I did my best.
Yes.
And that was last fall.
Yes.
And they went and got engaged again recently.
I heard about this.
Rapp obviously plays Stamets on Discovery, posted a picture on Twitter of himself and Ithafol in a canyon with Ken, I'm just going to call him Ken, down on one knee proposing. And Rapp posted the picture and he said, quote, "We are already engaged, but I had proposed to Ken. This time he proposed to me. I was blown away, and of course I said yes. I feel so lucky."
Yeah, that's really cool.
It is, but what I want to know is they were in Boynton Canyon in Sedona.
Right. Okay.
So is this an LA thing?
What?
I mean, I can imagine going on a trip, seeing the Grand Canyon, fine, all the wonders of the Southwest, maybe stopping in Sedona.
Yeah.
But like the hiking thing and the canyons thing.
Yeah.
They're always hiking. They're always hiking in canyons, bottles of water.
Are you seeing people out in LA are always hiking in canyons?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah,
I live
know.
in Minnesota.
Yeah.
I am descended from like voyageur stock.
Yeah.
And so, we don't seek this stuff out. It comes to us.
Sure.
Ding dong. Oh, it's a bear. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not looking to add spice and danger to my life. It exists outside I'd die if I went outside right now.
Right. Maybe because I live in LA.
But people in LA are always like, I got my shorts and what do you think of these shoes? Oh, let's go. I got my Camelback. We're going to go hiking on purpose.
Right. I don't know.
Anyway, I'm sure it's beautiful.
Yeah. I've been to Sedona before, although I didn't really do hiking. It was mostly like
crystals.
Shopping with my grandparents.
For crystals.
Yeah. Yeah. And art. There's a lot of really great artists out there too. So, but it is beautiful.
I want to go to Roswell, speaking of UFOs.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I know
I've never been there.
I know it's all commercialized. I think there's some other town that's like the real like UFO town.
the real McCoy.
Crap.
Yeah.
The alien do drop in or whatever.
I'm sure there's like a 50s style diner that has alien memorabilia like all over.
Yeah, that's
Roswell.
there's it's the alien. I think it's just the Alien Inn.
Oh, okay.
Or
there you go.
Or the Alien.
Maybe I actually saw that on like X-Files or something, and I like thought that I was like coming up with some
Probably.
great idea. Yeah.
But like Roswell, you got Roswell. Fox Mulder would know about like the cool, back door.
Lesser known.
Yeah, right. You'd be like, nah, we're not going to Roswell.
How many Naruto runners do you think were at Area 51?
I think that fell apart pretty quick.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was amazed at how much that actually picked up speed. But
well, people love a good meme.
they do.
I wish we can get a meme for social justice.
Oh.
A presidential candidate worth a damn.
Yes.
That sort of thing.
Yes.
Oh, and Trek. And Trek.
And Trek.
Anyway, they began dating in 2016, and we wish them all the best. And the third time's going to be the charm. Third time's the charm.
Who's going to propose the third time? Both of them? They're going to interrupt each other?
Yes. One is going to get on top of the Willis Tower. The other is going to get on top of the John Hancock building. And they're going to
yell at each other?
Yeah, they're going to shout.
Okay. That sounds good.
At the same time at each other.
And have it filmed.
Yes. Yeah. And then not Halo Jump. Base Jump. All these acronyms. Base Jump's an acronym, right? Yeah.
Sure. I don't know.
Yeah, they're base jump off the buildings and then
superhero pose.
Just land in
landing.
They could. Careful of the ring, though, right? You're holding the ring. No, into a chapel, get married, done.
There you go. Yeah, that'd be epic.
And then death. You're not going to top that.
Wow.
You're not going to top that.
I got dark real fast.
Well, let's keep it going then. Good news. Here's some more good news for Discovery stars. Sonequa Martin-Green announced that she is pregnant with her second child.
Oh, wow. Yeah, congrats to her.
Yeah, she posted on Instagram last Saturday a picture of herself and her husband and their son. And she said, quote, "Adding another passenger to the green train. All aboard, little lady. This train is fueled by love and we're already overflowing with it for you." End quote. Now, the green train takes you to the airport, right? And the blue train takes you downtown? I always get those mixed up.
I think it's the other way around.
Oh no.
The green train, because the green train takes you to the U. And the blue train takes you to the airport.
I'm gonna be at the airport then. Yeah, this is great news, and we don't know when Discovery is returning, but shooting has wrapped on season 3, so it'll possibly be out later this year.
Cool.
So if we
I didn't know she already
it's
had a kid.
renewed for another 2 seasons, right? Or it's going to be around for at least one more. So so we'll have to come up with some creative ways to get her a big coat like Gates McFadden. Transfer her to the she'll help out Dr. Culber and put your medical coat on.
Well, not only did Gates McFadden have a big coat, but the actress
Roxanne Dawson too.
Yeah. And they tried to offset it by giving her this little pocket with little tools because she's an engineer,
right? And
then it's like,
you know what would have sold it?
Huh?
If she'd pulled out a single one of those tools and did something with it.
I know. And then I think it was
they've got sonic screwdrivers and they've got hyper spanners or whatever, and also Allen wrenches in the future. You gotta have those.
I know. And then as soon as it was there, it was gone again. I mean, I think she had it for maybe about a season.
Season 4.
And then it was back in the regular uniform, doesn't have that cool little pocket anymore.
She wears it on and off though for the rest of
Does she?
Of the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So, or Patrick Stewart. Remember when he was pregnant and they made that jacket for him with the galvanized rubber shoulders? Could barely see the bump. I think we still got more good news here. Yeah. Right. Looks like Robert Picardo, who played the Doctor on Voyager, has said that he is in talks to appear in the 2nd season of Star Trek Picard.
Cool. I had heard this rumored for a couple of weeks now. It's awesome to get a confirmation that he's in talks.
Yeah, he had said that he was approached in March of this year. So that was before the show had aired, I believe. But not before. Well, wait, it's March 1, 2, 3, 4. No, March of last year.
Of last year?
Well, he was approached in March.
Okay, all right.
1978. But it was before they had been greenlit for a 2nd season, but they were already sort of planning things, and they approached him. They approached him, and he had said, quote, "I'm pleased that they have expressed interest in me." And, well, he went on to say a lot more. He's garrulous. He's a garrulous person. But he did mention that his daughter is a VFX artist, so if they need him to look 25 years younger, she's on it. She can cover it.
That's cute.
Yeah.
I like that.
Is there a VFX union? There has to be.
I would be surprised if there wasn't. Yeah.
People make the sandwiches are in a union.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that.
Nothing is set, and even if they hire him, we'll never get a confirmation because this will be the last we hear, right?
Yeah,
because once he's hired, he can't talk about it. So
right, NDA.
When you see him show up in Picard season 2, you know that's what happened.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this because I saw this episode recently, but I've also seen. I didn't come up with it, so somebody else said this online. But he could appear in Discovery season 3. Maybe this is a fake out. Maybe he was actually contacted by Discovery.
Right, because Discovery is in the future.
Discovery season 3 takes place in the 32nd century, I believe. And in Living Witness, we meet a doctor who is the backup of the original Doctor. He's like the Doctor's save file, not our Doctor, who was left behind on this planet where there was this atrocity.
Yeah,
they wanted to make him part of
Robert
this.
Picardo.
Well, yeah, obviously, make him part of this museum piece on this, and it was 700 years in the future or something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's too far. It was in the future.
It was definitely in the future.
And then if you calculate that and you add, at that point they were 65,000 light years from home, or 60,000 light years from home, and you calculate the travel time that they give us, and assuming that those aliens have a similar warp technology to the Federation, he could be pulling up to Sector 001 right around the time of the 32nd century.
Sure.
So Sonequa Martin Green's got the cool dreads. She's trying to hide her baby bump. She's like, we got to get this Federation back together. And it's like, beep, beep, hello.
Yeah, because
please state the nature of your societal emergency.
Because he
I'm the Doctor.
Gets in a ship and heads for Earth, right? Because he misses the Voyager crew, even though they're long gone.
Right.
Yeah. That would be cool. What if he's going to be in both? Like a double whammy.
I think they need to be careful about having him in both.
Oh, okay.
Because people are already complaining about the fact that the storyline for Picard Season 1 is awfully similar to the storyline for Discovery Season 2.
Oh.
A secret society of intelligence officers is planning a, galaxy-wide conspiracy to halt the development of an artificial intelligence which will wipe out all life in the universe.
Yeah, I guess. I hadn't thought about it like that before, but yeah.
Spoilers for Picard and Discovery Season 2.
Yeah, obviously. We've already talked about some spoilers, so...
But which one of them's going to be the Borg?
Oh my gosh.
At this point, I think one of them does need to be the Borg. People said that about Discovery Season 2, and it's like, I think we can have an AI that's not the Borg,
Yeah.
But now we've done it twice. Clear, you can't... What, is the third time the charm, Anthony Rapp? Like, are we going to... At some point, they're going to go, let's make it the Borg.
Well, you're right. Because, I think maybe...
Lower Decks, which starts this year, 2020.
Yeah.
First episode of Lower Decks. We've got to get this AI out of... Keep it from... But funny, though.
Okay, well, let's hope they go for something more different than that.
Something more different.
Yeah. Yeah, because it can't all come down to the Borg, right?
Tell Michael Chabon that.
Yeah, Michael Chabon. But he's not going to be around next season.
No, he's doing his own thing because he's developing Cavalier and Clay into a show, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, if anybody would know the material, it would be him.
Yeah, that's...
Hopefully he knows whether it would make a good show or not.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's...
Because not everything's a show.
No. And not everybody who gets a job writing is a good writer.
Used to be not everything was a movie. The original submission of the screenplay of Sisko, adapted from Robert Bloch's novel, the studio was like, unfilmable, no.
Really?
And Hitchcock sort of pushed it through to get it made. Nowadays, we go, I'm thinking 4 seasons, and Vera Farmiga is the lead.
Yeah.
It's everything has to be a TV show.
Right. And I've heard you say before, it could have just been a movie instead of, 8 episodes of a TV show.
Well, hold that thought. We're going to talk about that in a second.
Okay.
As we move into some possibly bad news.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Looks like Viacom CBS, the, of course, conglomerate company formed from Viacom and CBS and all their holdings, they're looking to sell Simon & Schuster.
Oh, no. Why?
The publishing wing of the enterprise that published basically every Star Trek novel of the last 25, 30 years.
You're kidding me.
Including the ones that are releasing currently, like the Star Trek Picard novel, Last Best Hope by Una McCormack.
Wow. That's huge, and I feel like that could be a huge game changer for a lot of people who write Star Trek novels.
Got a lot of people up in arms. Want to hear the things that they've said about it?
Yes, I do.
Well, I don't want them to get fired, so I'm not going to say a lot of those things.
All right, then don't. Maybe
but I will tell you
speculation.
That Viacom CBS CEO Bob Bakish was speaking to investors at a Morgan Stanley event. I hate all of those words. And he said that the company was evaluating their assets. And he said, quote, Simon & Schuster is not a core asset. It is not video-based. It does not have significant connection for our broader business, end quote.
Whoa. I think all Star Trek authors everywhere would disagree.
When I said it,
yeah.
I think I say it sometimes on Discoverage, but nobody calls me out on it, that if we're going to whore this out, let's whore it out. Right?
Right. Why aren't there a bunch of Star Trek
People
books?
Are so worried about, preserving Gene's legacy, or they cradle the Trek franchise like a Fabergé egg. And I'm like, if it's lasted 50 years, if it's that strong, let's do a cartoon. Let's do a kids thing. Let's do an action thing. Let's just shake it up. Mm-hmm. They're not all going to succeed. Right. Some will be liked more than others. And then we'll find the new path forward. So we'll settle down to maybe 1 or 2 shows that fit in this new... Because this thing was created in the 60s.
Right.
Very few people were alive when this thing was created that can hear this. I still believe that, but I kind of I hate it now.
Oh, no.
Because this is President Bob Bakish just, probably rubbing his hands together. Maybe there's sanitizer on them, maybe not. Greedily,
gold.
as he says this, it's got to be video-based content, and this does not. Oh, no, this thing that is been integral to keeping the franchise alive when the video content was absent or sucked, and people follow these books and love these books, and that not being core to your broader business it's cuckoo talk until you realize that he doesn't care, because it's all about money.
Yeah,
it's all about the Benjamins.
It just seems,
but not the Benjamin Siskos. Anybody ever do like a compilation video to like DS9 moments, but all the cool stuff when he's like got the baseball cap on, or he's like sliding down a banister or something like that. It's all about the Benjamin, baby.
I'd like to see that. I think that'd be really cool. I think he's being kind of short-sighted, honestly. And I guess I want to know, well, what does this mean for the future of Star Trek books? Does that mean they just won't have a book like ARM, or there won't be any more books?
No clue.
It's
because,
so weird.
And I don't really know. I think Dayton Ward actually did a StarTrek.com article. If you Google the history of Star Trek publishing and then maybe cite Star Trek or put Dayton's name in there, you might get the information.
Okay.
I know this article exists in my bookmarks, and I haven't read it yet.
Okay.
So I can't tell you the difference between Pocket Books and Simon & Schuster and when they were acquired, by CBS or whatever.
Right.
John Van Sitters would know. But if you sell... Okay, so I'll just say that apparently the CEO, Bob Bakish, says that they have received unsolicited orders for their publishing wing previously. And they're exploring their options. But that's just kind of like, oh, yeah. That's like a girlfriend in Canada, right? It's like, oh, yeah. Oh, I've had a lot of offers, but, I'm just kind of waiting for the right one.
Right.
Yeah. And the value of Simon & Schuster estimated, this was from an article from Variety, is estimated between 1 and 1.5 billion. Which is not anything to sneeze at.
No.
There are bigger pieces of the publishing pie, but this is not bad. So if somebody buys this, it will just become somebody else's publishing wing, right? But what I want to know is, do you then just license out, the Star Trek license to them to create Star Trek books, but you're just not involved in the day-to-day running of the company, and because you're trying to get the expenses off the books, right?
I guess that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see what this means for the future of Star Trek publishing.
It'll almost definitely mean less books, even though there are, way less books now than there ever has been.
Right.
Since James Blish. Here's why they're trying to do that. Fourth quarter earnings at Viacom CBS, not great.
Okay.
Shares have plunged 15%.
Okay. Why do they think that? Well, obviously they're blaming it on publishing.
And what this means is that there's a lack of confidence in where CBS is going post merger and with their streaming strategy.
Well, I don't know that they really have
killer apps.
Yeah.
For CBS All Access.
Yeah. Okay. So CBS All Access has a couple things going for it. But here's some other things. Like Star Trek is available, like the original series, TNG, etc. Is available on other streaming platforms.
Yeah.
I don't understand why that still is if we have CBS All Access. So I don't know what kind of agreements they've made with other companies and how long that's going to continue to be a thing.
Well, the animated series is off Netflix. We reported on that last year too.
Yeah.
I don't know. And apparently this all happened over the course of a huge drop happened over the course of the call. It just sounds like Bob Bakish has to go, right?
Yeah, it kind of sounds that way.
Because he is trying to convince people that we've got plans for streaming and it's going to be great. And people are like, yeah, sell it, short it, sell.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they've lost a lot of value, and yeah, they're blaming it on the lack of streaming strategy and also the merger. People, and this, if everybody knew it was a bad idea, and unfortunately, Les Moonves is like a creep, so nobody's going to listen to him. But he has for years tried to keep this from happening because he knew it would hurt CBS overall. When they merged, the total of the companies was estimated at about $30 billion. Right, so these two entities equal $30 billion.
Yeah.
Currently, Viacom CBS's valuation is $18.2 billion. So they lost
a huge drop.
$12 billion somewhere.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay. Ouch.
So like, well, Blue Bloods they canceled, right? First run CBS.
I think so.
Blue Bloods and Star Trek are the only thing keeping this alive at this point, at least from the streaming side.
Yeah.
It's not good news, and what a great time to convince somebody to just spare $1 billion. $1 billion. At this point, I guess that's 1/20th of your value.
Yeah.
And just keep the part of your company alive that works. Mm-hmm. Paper's probably cheaper than digital effects. Uh-huh. And people are going to, it's $8.95 a pop. I guess I've been given a lot of Star Trek books. I haven't bought one in a while. But whatever it is, it's guaranteed. People are going to buy them.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know you're not in the book business.
Yeah, but I think it's silly to just cut that out.
This guy's got to go.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't sound like he's necessarily
It's a real Commodore Decker.
Whoa.
Oh, boy. Well, it just seems like, when you get those captains on Star Trek that aren't Picard or Kirk or whatever, they're like, we're going to do this. Like, why would you do that? That's a really dumb idea.
I know.
The robot thinks it's a dumb idea.
Yeah.
No, you listen to me. Do it. That's him. That's a Photoshop.
Yeah.
What's he look like?
I have no idea.
We're going to find out.
Okay.
Here's some About Time news. Captain Kirk is dead. I mean, that bridge fell on him, but William Shatner recently said that he is not interested in returning to the role.
Oh, okay. I thought I saw an article somewhere. Somebody was speculating about how they could get Kirk and Picard together again or something like that. I
think they did it in that one book that he wrote, didn't they?
Oh, probably.
Where he come the Borg bring Kirk back?
Yeah. I didn't get a chance to read the article, but it was like a picture from the movie that they're in.
Sure, and they're on horses, yeah. Well, last June, Shatner had said that he, quote, certainly would, end quote, come back if the right script came along. Uh-huh. But recently on Twitter, a fan asked him, now that they have the series Picard, do you think they'll consider a series Kirk? That would be pretty cool. And this is a troll, clearly, right? Uh-huh. And Shatner said, no, I think Kirk's story is pretty well played out at this point.
Okay, so he just changed his mind. That's basically all that happened there.
Why did he change his mind? Is it the blues album he's working on?
I don't know.
Or has he pissed off enough people now that it's not worth him coming back?
Well, I think there is that. I think... how to put this? I like Shatner, but at the same time, his presence online is not always positive.
You're separating the art from the artist.
Yeah.
You're trying to.
Right.
You're separating the toupee from the actor.
Yeah. Yes.
Right.
Yes. I wish that he was more gracious with some of the comments that he makes than he is, but oh well,
It's okay. I don't know. I mean, here we sit on a Star Trek podcast.
I know.
Talking about a franchise that's 53 plus years old. And it's all because, in some ways, of this guy who wore a uniform that sort of wrapped around his tummy.
Yes.
And so, I mean, and he was in 3 seasons of a show that tanked.
Yeah.
And then he was in a movie that tanked. And then he was in another movie that did okay. And then we watched 4 more movies, kind of gonna be okay, but also kind of slowly tank until a brand new show came along and we dropped a bridge on him. Mm-hmm. And then he got a start in Shakespeare. He was losing his hair in high school. Mm-hmm. He apparently lived in his car at one point, after Star Trek.
Oh, and I didn't realize that.
He's got a lot of horses.
Yes.
Because he must have cut some pretty good deals for his likeness or for royalties or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Where does the crazy confidence come from? He was on a show where they reenacted 911 calls, some live footage.
Yeah.
Where's the crazy confidence come from?
I don't know, to be perfectly honest.
Why does he think that he doesn't have to answer to anyone?
I don't have a good answer for that because I don't feel like
he is going to fight God, isn't he?
Yeah,
we're going to get what Gene Roddenberry wanted.
Yeah.
He's going to pass away, hopefully many single digits years from now, and he's going to end up in heaven, and God's going to be like, I don't know. I don't think you did good enough. And he's going to be like, well, what does God need with a knuckle sandwich? And then they're going to fight. And Gene Roddenberry is going to be there.
Yeah.
Popcorn. No pants. Watching the whole thing happen. We're going to get it.
Wow. That would be great.
He's got to be the most confident human being that Canada has ever produced.
He certainly seems that way, doesn't he? You bring up a good point. Like we think of TOS now of being like this classic show and everything, but at the time it was coming out, it wasn't as successful as
and everybody loves Spock.
Yeah.
Have you seen a Kirk Mania button?
No, I don't think I have.
All right, so come on. Perspective.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah, I know.
Negotiate yourself into some perspective. Come on. Anyway. And we're laughing. And now it ends, because here is some certified bad news.
Uh-oh.
Kenneth Mitchell, who starred on Discovery as pretty much every Klingon that has lines. He was Cole, he was Cole Shah, and he was Tanavik as well. He has revealed that he has been diagnosed with ALS, or amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, sometimes called Lou Gehrig's disease. This is the thing that Stephen Hawking was a famous sufferer of this. And he was featured in People magazine in an article where he said that he had been diagnosed in August of 2018, and he's been using a wheelchair since October of last year.
I heard about this. This is, it's really sad. It sounds like obviously I've heard of it before. It's a really debilitating disease, and just heartbreaking when somebody is diagnosed with something like this, because you end up, when you lose your mobility, or your mobility is different. I think that there's a loss of some freedom there, and obviously you adapt and make the best of it, but it's what a hard thing to have to deal with.
Yeah. Especially as an actor.
Yeah, and I heard that, like, in some of his parts, he would, like, be leaning up against things and stuff like that while they were shooting.
Wow, Cole Shaw's really working that bat left there.
Yeah.
Just both hands on that.
Yeah.
In just a short time, Ken has really become, he's a fixture at Star Trek conventions. He's been on the show for 2.5 years, basically. Mm-hmm. And yet he's at all these conventions, and he's somebody who's really active with the fandom on social media. And he just seems like a really nice guy. In fact, just last year at the Las Vegas convention, he got very emotional on stage during a panel with Jason Isaacs and Jane Brooke, and they were talking about being on the show, and he was just saying that he felt so blessed to be a part of the family, and I'm sure he was like, this was on his mind even then.
Oh, I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
How could it not be? I think I read in an article too, maybe it was the People one, that like his mom suffers from MS or something like that, and they thought maybe it might be that.
Yeah.
Which is also awful. But
neither of those are good.
No.
The thing about ALS is, from what I understand, and he's a youngish guy.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, he is.
It usually, you find out about it earlier. And I think the prognosis, I'm just to talk about human lives in terms of integers, but the prognosis after diagnosis is generally, 3 to 5 years. But you never know. I mean, Stephen Hawking. Yeah, he was into his 70s, right?
I think so. Yeah.
So we don't really know.
Yeah.
It's just it's uncertain, and that's almost as bad as something definite. But
it's just hard when you're an actor
and
that happens to you.
And Ken did say in the article in People that he didn't want to try to hide his illness anymore. Right. He said, quote, "I think that there's something I can offer, and I want to be a part of that. And a lot of people help me along the way through my actions. So if I can inspire one person, that would mean a lot to me."
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Be like a positive face for the disease.
Yeah. And if they can put him in, so, clearly he's like he's a makeup actor, he's a character actor. They made him Klingon after Klingon after Klingon.
Yes.
So he could be on the show still.
Absolutely.
We'll just make him something else,
Yeah.
just put him somewhere else on the crew of Discovery or some weird future Federation person or something like that.
Yeah,
And I hope
absolutely.
that he stays on the show, and I'm sure that he will stay in the family and go into cons and things like that. There's a great, so the Star Trek cruise just happened.
Yes.
And
amazing that it happened.
I know a lot. Well, they took off just in time.
Yeah, right.
As the boat was pulling away.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I know a lot of people are on the cruise. They're all healthy as far as I know.
Good.
But they were, they had dance parties. They have all this crazy stuff on the cruise.
Oh, sure.
You ever been on a cruise?
Never. And
It sounds,
I don't know.
my social anxiety combined with my claustrophobia and my aquaphobia.
And now my fear of getting a disease.
And my fear of coconut drinks.
Yeah, I just think that I don't know. Maybe I'd get over it and it'd be a lot of fun. But I think there's just a lot of forced togetherness on a cruise.
Yes.
Like
I saw a picture of, there's different levels of staterooms, of course.
Yes.
Like there are different levels of people. And I saw somebody took a picture of their stateroom and it was like, oh, this is pretty good. I was like, that looks kind of like an airplane bathroom. Maybe a little bigger.
My goodness.
I don't know if I would want to do that. But then the thing is a floating mall, basically.
Yeah.
So just sleep in your room. Anyway, that's my thought on cruises. Going back to Ken, they had dance parties and they had a villains dance party, hosted by the Cole, the House of Cole that he was sort of the host of. And then he was crowd surfing. He got out of his wheelchair and there people were taking him around the dance floor. And
yeah, that's really cool.
Really great. Yeah, he was. Yeah. So anyway, let's get him on the show.
That'd be cool. Let's do it. Okay, I'll work on it.
Yeah, let's talk to him.
I think that'd be great.
But anyway, our best wishes to go out to him and his family, and we'd like to see more of him in the future.
Yes, absolutely.
And finally, some crazy news.
Oh.
So we've talked before. Alex Kurtzman was sitting on the toilet, and somebody put a microphone in his face. This guy, he does interviews everywhere. And he said that there are 2 more Star Trek shows in development that we don't know about yet.
How could that be?
Bob Backish cracks that whip, and we got to make more.
Oh my gosh.
This is supposed to be good news or crazy news. And also, of course, we've got a movie in development. So Noah Hawley is still attached to this movie.
Which I'm excited about.
Speaking of Vegas odds.
Yeah.
It's 1-1. It's 50% that we're even going to get a movie out of Noah Hawley, right?
You think?
Yes.
Ugh.
Because I think a situation where Viacom needs a hit, they're going to be micromanaging the hell out of that, don't you think?
Probably.
They're not going to let the Fargo guy just do whatever he wants.
I wish they would, because he's so good, and I'm really excited at the prospect of seeing a Noah Hawley Star Trek film.
How does the Jon Hamm narration fit, though? Oh
my
here you
goodness.
Go. Space. The Final Frontier. What do we think about when we think about space?
Do we make him a Badmiral or something?
Jon Hamm as a Badmiral. No.
No?
He's done too much comedy now. If they were going to do Mad Men 2, Men Matter.
Yeah.
It wouldn't work. Well, I mean, it already sounds like a comedy, but he's too funny.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what I mean? When he was in that Black Mirror episode, which was...
Yeah, well,
it was both. Mirror. I didn't enjoy it. I mean, but it was rough,
Yeah.
But I kept expecting him to break into talking about Jon Hamm's Jon Hamm or whatever.
Okay.
So if he was it would have to be a Christian Slater type cameo.
Oh, wow. I hope it's better than that, because that's talk about thankless job.
Whereas Captain, we've got a message from Starfleet Command. Put it on screen. It's Kirk, You're going out there again. When you're selling it to the Romulans, make sure you give them the whole thing. But hold it back a little. Don't open the kimono just yet.
Oh my God.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, all right,
always
fine.
the sales guy.
Yeah. Kirk out. Admiral Hamm out.
Oh my goodness. I like it.
It's kind of a ham. Anyway, this story was supposed to be about Simon Pegg.
Oh, what about him?
Was interviewed by Games Radar Plus about his new movie, Lost Transmissions. I think is this the movie that he got really ripped for? Have you seen these pictures of him?
No, I have not.
It's not ripped like Carrot Top ripped. It's more just like stripped down. Like he's got the normal amount of body fat that a slim Hollywood actor has who doesn't climb mountains and go hiking in Sedona, I'm assuming.
Uh-huh.
He's Scottish. He burst into flames. But the smell, though, would be delicious. The peat. You can smell Pegg for miles. They asked him about, hey, what's going on? We heard about this Star Trek 4. You know, do you think that the old crew is going to come back? And he's like, they didn't talk to me. I haven't heard of that. I don't know her. He just totally shut it down. He said that nobody's talked to me about it. Yeah. And also, he doesn't think they have a chance because they don't make Marvel movie money.
Okay. Well, I guess he's just being realistic about it, but all right. I mean, I know the previous films in the Kelvinverse, he to varying degrees was involved in.
Well, he wrote the third one.
Yeah. So he was very involved in that one.
Yeah.
So
and
I guess I'm a little surprised that nobody said anything.
And he had said about it, his movie, he had said that he was kind of disappointed with, of course, it didn't make as much money as everybody wanted it to.
Right.
But he was disappointed with kind of the way they handled it. He thought that it would have been a great opportunity to take advantage of the 50th anniversry, but they didn't want to do anything with that.
It's a missed opportunity, honestly.
Also, he basically characterized it as lost momentum. He said, losing Anton was, a blow that still is sort of felt by that cast. And so with these comments and with Hawley basically going kind of radio silent on what he's doing, it seems like we're not going to see the Kelvin cast anymore.
Okay. I don't know. I think we revisited the first movie. We
didn't do anything.
Okay. There was a live.
I produced a live episode at Convergence Con last year, which was supposed to be up on the Patreon a long time ago, but I lost the audio files for it.
Oh no!
Well, I had a backup drive. I got a new backup drive, but it's been a process of organizing all the files together. So anyway, I have it now, and I am in the process of engineering it, and I'm going to publish it for Patreon users, for crew members. The video of it with really bad audio is available on facebook.com/EISTpod.
Yeah.
But in that episode that I produced, that you might have been present for.
I was present.
It was like reconciling with the 2009 Star Trek. And it figures that the second that I kind of go, you know what? It's okay. Mm-hmm. It's okay. Mm-hmm. And even in a darkness, you got Admiral RoboCop, you got Benedict Cumberbatch just like literally chewing on like the scenery. It's got its good points. It's fun. Mm-hmm. Star Trek Beyond, great. Yeah. Oh, they're canceled. Oh, there's no more. I know.
I thought the third one was.
If I hate them again, will you do a 4?
Right. I know. I thought the third one was better than the second one.
Yeah.
And I was kind of surprised that they like you said lost momentum.
Well, that's what Pegg said.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, I guess I'm surprised that. How long ago did the third one come out? It's been several years.
2016.
Yeah. It's a long gap, and to not even have a fourth one necessarily
in production.
Confirmed.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I guess because I thought these films were really popular too, and so I was kind of surprised. For a little while there, it was all we had as far as Trek that was new.
And I don't. Boy, I mean, I'm not a great judge because it's Star Trek. I'll go see it. Yeah. Even if I don't like it, I'll see it to complain about it. That is the way this is the way
Yeah.
of a Star Trek fan.
Uh-huh.
And we always keep our helmets on. And so, like, for me, I would say, Peg says, well, they don't make Marvel money. But that's not, the money isn't, that'll come when you make a product that people want. And Marvel works because, this one's about Doctor Strange, but it's just the next chapter in this book or this 25 movie long TV show that we're watching.
Yeah.
So people who aren't necessarily, don't even care about Doctor Strange, just saw Captain America Civil War or whatever, and they're like, we'll give it a shot. And then even if they don't like it, they're waiting for Black Panther or whatever. Or they do like it and they're waiting for the next one.
Right.
Star Trek does not have that to date. And they're really going for it, I think, in this whole cartoon show. Let's bring Patrick Stewart back. Right. Star Trek Discovery. But they don't, and possibly creating a universe by repeating the same storylines. Nobody sure what's going on there.
Yeah, I don't know.
But until they get to the point where they could do a Trek movie every year or every 2 years, but it's got that same feeling of, well, this is a original series movie, or this is a Klingon movie, or this is, and we're moving forward. That would be the Marvel model. Having a unified universe with different sort of storylines or like places to visit that we kind of move forward incrementally. And then you could have Star Trek Infinity War where they all come together.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, maybe that's something that when people talk about Marvel, they forget. And that's that they did the homework. They built it from ground up. And each movie has been bigger than the last. But that's because, Iron Man was successful. If Iron Man hadn't done well, we might not have a Marvel
Well, I think
universe.
comic books have a leg up because comic books come in all genres. They come in westerns and sci-fi and horror,
romance
and comedy and everything else.
Yeah.
Whereas Star Trek has essentially been Star Trek since the beginning. And you can make the ship stay in one place, or you can make the ship go far away, or you can have the guy from Quantum Leap. But it's still basically the same thing. And so if you don't like Star Trek, or you think you don't like Star Trek, it doesn't matter how many movies they make, you're not going to go see those movies. But if you can diversify your property, and now I hate the words that I'm saying, but if you can diversify your property so that people just really like the Klingons, but then they know that like Worf will be in this TNG movie or whatever, then they can watch the Star Trek movie and go, for Star Trek, it wasn't that bad. Star Trek's boring, but this was okay. Yeah. But I really want to see what those Romulans are up to or whatever. If you had different properties and aspects and places in the universe. And they are trying to do that right now, I think, but they are not doing a very good job because every show, even the new shows, kind of feel the same. Yeah.
Yeah, they do. I was.
When you think about it, even Picard is a powerful, sort of storied character in his universe, and then he has this disgrace where he quits and this disaster happens and people are like, oh, it's crazy old Jean-Luc or whatever. Rewind. Michael Burnham is this character with so much potential and is the youngest person ever to graduate from the Vulcan Science Academy or whatever. And she makes this mistake and there's this tragedy and now she has to build up. It's the same thing.
You're right.
They just need to Trojan horse a Star Trek movie onto us. They need to come up with, and it could be lasers or I don't know, whatever. There's plenty of, look at Ex Machina, look at Arrival. Like people will see thoughtful sci-fi movies.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So Trojan horse it on us. Give us a thing that is set in the Star Wars galaxy, but into some other corner, really develop something. And then in the second act, the end of the second act, they're like, we got to call the Federation or whatever. And you're like, whoa, this is a Star Trek movie? What? No, that's not great for branding, I guess, now that I think about it. But just prove to people that you've got lots of arrows in your quiver and they're not all shaped like the USS Enterprise.
Yeah, I hear you.
And get Simon Pegg to do it.
There you go.
Bring him back in the fold. Yeah. All is forgiven. Put the fire out.
Yes.
And offer some money and just say, hey, you're a funny guy. Just make a, action comedy. Give us a Guardians of the Galaxy in Star Trek. I know it's called Farscape, but we're going to do a Star Trek one.
Yeah, I'd watch that.
Yeah, remind people what they're missing.
Exactly. And then have Simon Pegg deliver it to us, so he's happy too. So, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's a good plan. Let's go with that.
I'm scared of him. We should give him whatever he wants.
Whoa.
He's pretty ripped.
Whoa. He will tear you to pieces.
Give you the Falls Road handshake. Well, I think that's going to do it for our news check-in for this week. Mikanhana, thanks so much for joining me once again to talk about Star Trek news. Remind people where they can find you online.
Yeah, I am at justenough.trope.com, Just Enough Trope on Twitter and Facebook, and also at Mikanhana on Twitter.
What's coming up on Just Enough Trope?
Yes. Well, this week we are going to be talking about the comic and the new film starring Vin Diesel called Bloodshot.
Like his eyes?
Yeah. No, I think it's I don't know a whole lot about it, but he gets something.
Or is it like, I mean, it's just like any shot is a blood shot. Unless it's a butt shot.
Oh, boy.
That's where you get your vitamin B.
Yeah. It's all about the blood family.
Okay, so I've been working on this. And he has a very wide chest. You need a chest like his. But I'm also convinced that he has a second set of vocal cords like in his thoracic cavity or something.
Yeah.
Because it's low. But there's also that there's that extra sound that gets made that is not in his throat, or it's at the very bottom of his throat.
Yeah.
You know, she's like, I'm talking about Bloodshot or whatever. That's, you know what I mean? You can go like, oh, I love driving cars. But that's not enough.
No, it's
that, not. It's that back of the throat thing, but you have to be careful not to turn it into, you know, Stitch from Lilo and Stitch.
Oh, yeah.
I drive cars.
Yeah, no, you're right. That could go to Stitch really easily. Yeah, he's kind of...
I'm a family. Right. Anyway, yeah. It's a Valiant comic book.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, lesser known, and this is supposed to be the first. They made this huge deal with Universal or whoever was doing this movie to turn all these Valiant property. I can't wait for the Magnus Robot Fighter movie. Turn all these properties into stuff, and this is the first shot in that Bloodshot in that war.
Okay, very cool.
So if you want to hear about that, tune in this Sunday or Monday, I suppose, to Just Enough Trope.
Yeah. Don't you think that like Vin Diesel is kind of shaped like a Bruce Timm comic book character? He's kind of got like the triangular body.
I am vengeance. I am the night. I'm Batman.
Oh my gosh, Vin Diesel as Batman. Wow.
All this Vin Diesel talk, no coronavirus joke tie-in. I got a sore throat. Thanks again to Mikanhana for stopping by to help out with the news. You can catch all of the news that's fit to cast in the world of nerdy entertainment on the Just Enough Trope podcast, available at Just Enough Trope on Twitter, justenough.trope.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. We mentioned Una McCormack's new Picard novel, The Last Best Hope, earlier, and if you haven't gotten your copy yet, you can do so on Amazon. And with the news that we discussed earlier that Viacom CBS is looking to offload Simon & Schuster, if you are a fan of Star Trek books, it's more important than ever to show the people in charge that you're a fan and you want to see more books. I've got a link in the show notes that will take you directly to Amazon, where you can purchase The Last Best Hope, which is a great book, and it's a great companion to the on-screen story of Picard. When you make purchases on Amazon through the links that we provide, or by clicking on our Shop Amazon banner on enterprisingindividuals.com to get to Amazon, a small percentage of the purchase price of your transaction comes back to us at no extra cost to you, and it helps keep the Warp Core lit here at the show. And this counts for anything that you buy. It's not just Star Trek stuff. In fact, you can bookmark our banner, and when you click through to Amazon that way, anything that you buy, the same deal applies. It's a great way to help support the show. Anytime you shop on Amazon, click through our Amazon banner or through your bookmark or saved link and shop away. And maybe you're saying, I've already got The Last Best Hope, and I have a second house dedicated solely to my book collection, to which I would say, Thanks for your comment, Guillermo del Toro. I loved Kronos. But I would also say, if you like what you hear on Enterprising Individuals and you want to support the show, why not head to our Patreon page at patreon.com/EISTPOD. It's there that you can sign up to be a crew member for the show, and you can get access to exclusive subscriber content like our live episodes, my DS9 and Voyager rewatch recaps, extended interviews from show guests containing off-topic discussions and outtakes, and more. Just head to patreon.com/EISTpod. Anybody can join our crew, Oscar-winning directors or no, all are welcome at patreon.com/EISTpod. And as always, the best way to support the show is to tell a friend. Anything you contribute to the show will be appreciated and will help keep us flying. Thanks. And that is it for this supplemental episode of Enterprising Individuals. If you're an Apple Podcast listener and you haven't yet, why not look us up on Apple Podcasts and make sure that you're subscribed to the show. Also, write us a little review if the spirit moves you, and give us a rating at the very least. It really does help the show, and we really appreciate it. If you're not an Apple Podcasts listener, you can still subscribe to the show on Google Play or Stitcher or wherever you get our show from. And if you leave positive comments and ratings and reviews on those platforms as well, we'd be eternally grateful. Next week on Enterprising Individuals. On every episode of Star Trek, our heroes tech the tech, they talk the computer to death, or they Darmok and Jalab their way to victory. Then they're free to enjoy a smart cocktail in 10 Forward, or break their collarbones in a nice game of Parisi Squares. To wit, life in the Federation is pretty good. But Starfleet is still a military, and its members are still nominally soldiers and sailors, and no member of the military can be totally untouched by the trauma of combat. And if the Federation is truly a utopia, it won't forget about the sacrifices made by its most heroic citizens. New York Times bestselling author David Mack returns to the show next week to discuss an episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine that he had a hand in creating, to once again share his experiences of working on Trek, and of course, to talk about Nog and the man who brought him to life, Aaron Eisenberg. It's only a paper moon, next time on Enterprising Individuals. And until then, I'm your Captain Caliban, signing off and saying, live long and prosper. Hey Trekkies, I'm Caliban.
And I'm Gooey Fame.
And we're the hosts of the new podcast, Backtrekking. I thought that we were going to say it together.
Oh, Backtrekking. Do you want to do it again?
Just don't worry about it. Every week, we look at the real-life inspirations behind classic Star Trek episodes.
The original series, Next Gen, DS9, Voyager, and more. And we're examining the actual events, stories, and concepts that they're based on.
Join us as we go trekking through sci-fi history.
You know, we have a time machine. Let's go back and do the intro again.
Hey Trekkies, I'm Caliban.
Backtrekking!
God damn it!